On my knees all day, I work for my pay. I've worked for the life I owed. I can't give them what they need. My bones hurt. I can't hold all this, all these people, their problems. They look to me for help, but there is no help, not the right kind of help. I'm sorry, I don't have time for this. There are too many patients right now. I know you're in crisis. Do you need a bus ticket? How about your mental health? Do you need more support? It is teletherapy only. How suicidal are you? Can you wait until 2021? I have nothing left to give. Just pick yourself up by your damn bootstraps. Those damn bootstraps, they keep breaking because there's nowhere for them to go. The shelters are full. And how am I supposed to get a job if I can't even access clean clothes and a shower? On my knees all day, I work for my pay. You may snicker and grin. This earnings for my kin. I worked for the life I'm on. It's time for me to start sharing who I am. I don't think the mental health system works at all. The pandemic is shining a light on the truth. The city could have been doing more to help the homeless all along. I mean, I am a woman. I am bathing out of a bucket. It takes your dignity away. You just don't understand this until it happens to you. You become desensitized because of the cold stares. Nobody should be homeless, no matter who you are. Have you spent one day outside with nothing? What would you do if you landed in that situation? I mean, you just kind of fall into this, you know. One day I was normal, and the next everything fell apart. I mean, that is just how it happens sometimes. I was a marketing manager for a big company. I supervised over 175 people. I'm very controlled, well-spoken. I'm writing these long reports for my job, and one day I can't. It was like something broke. One of the partners at the company said it was like reading drunk emailing, like nothing I said made sense. And I was terrified because this had been one of the most successful, productive times in my life. So it really felt like I was just going like pachinko, 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 kind of down that scale. They initially diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. But after 3 MRIs and multiple hospitalizations, they finally discovered that I actually had a brain lesion. During that period, I lost my job. I had to give up this Christian ministry I'd been running out of my home. I lost everything. So I finally had to make a decision based on my economics, based on what was available to me, to live outside. By my fingers and hands, I make glass out of sand. Yeah, it's fragile and it's alive. When I come home and out I worked for the life I'm on. I work for the life I am. Oh, not expecting none. From my birth I was born to be only me. Not at one. From my birth I was born to be some working soul.
so I'm told.
I was a leader in the military. I worked as a flight engineer crew chief on flight platoon. I loved my job. Eventually I had to move on, and one day I found myself bouncing around from one irrelevant job to another until I ended up out of rope. Now I remember my first night homeless very clearly. The landlord evicted the guy I was staying with, and I had no place to go, and I was like, well, I got to go someplace. So I went and I slept outside under the bridge for the first time. It was January, cold, miserable. Every time a car would go over the bridge, it felt like a bomb going off, and it gave me military flashbacks. So that was my first day. What ended up saving me was a heart attack, actually. What happened was the night before, I got caught in this torrential rainstorm, and I was just soaked to the bone. And I spent the night on the street freezing. Absolutely freezing. When you are soaking wet, and it's cold, and you have no options to get warm, I'll never forget it. It was the very next day that I keeled over. I ended up with 3 fractures in my spine, but through that I got connected to the VA, and then I actually got into my current housing. So I always knew things would get better. Like I said, I'd been a leader in the military. I'd had a successful career, and I knew what that felt like, and I wanted to feel it again. So being outdoors was never acceptable. Honestly, I think part of the problem is our entire capitalist system, where everybody's just in it for themselves. I was always a fan of socialism. Even when I was in the military, I was always impressed by how nobody in these socialist countries really seemed to be starving to death. And I think in our society, it's just this me-first attitude, and I get it. But if we want to improve this world, we've got to do a better job of watching out for each other. Make me down a pallet on the floor. Make me down a pallet on the floor. Make me down a pallet soft and low. 'Cause babe, I'm broken and I got nowhere to go. We're in blues everywhere I see. We're in blues, honey, everywhere I see. We're in blues, honey, everywhere I see. And no one's ever had the blues like me. I want to get spiritually chiseled. Yeah, guys work on their bodies. They try to get muscles. And I want to get spiritually chiseled so I can be strong internally. Yeah. Now, I believe we're in a time of an awakening. And I don't consider myself suffering just because I ain't got a home. I'm not going with that. I'm on a journey. Yeah. Now, my spiritual searching began when I was young. I grew up in a Christian home, and I was just like, okay, who is this God guy? Because he seems to be sitting on his hands, if you ask me. But I came to realize that man and God are really one. There is no separation. The problem is we become so detached from our nature, from our true self, that often we try to replace it with things, but look how many things we have and ain't nobody happy. Right? Now, when I first got sick in 97, I was studying the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, and as part of my spiritual practice, I was fasting. And that played into my psychosis. You know, I mean, now everybody was after me, the goblins, whoever were after me. So, yeah, I got real sick. I ended up going to the state hospital. But I eventually got stable. But I have been struggling with homelessness on and off a long time. It's a life you have to adjust to. Because nobody should be homeless, no matter who you are. I mean, look, you know, you got buildings you're building up all over Portland. You know, you got buildings you're tearing down while people out here without shelter. I mean, what about the guys you're passing by? You know, yeah, you know, his hands may be dirty. He may have needle marks in his arms, but he didn't bring the dope in. You know, you, the housekeeper, why is the house messed up? If you're the keeper of the house, do we need new keepers? Because the human family is a spectrum, right? But some people are getting real stuck on the things that separate us instead of the things that unite us. Like right now, I think a lot of white people are feeling like, okay, we're losing our demographic. You know, I mean, it's just like my psychosis, right? I mean, once I became paranoid, I was like, shoot, they're after me, you know? And I think a lot of white people are feeling that sense of panic, you know? They want to take our guns, they want to take our jobs, you know? I think that is what it boils down to, but let's be honest about it and quit taking innocent people out. The fear is in our bones. It goes from generation to generation to generation, and we gotta stop it. I mean, we started off with free labor. I mean, these guys helped us build our country up, and now you got people coming here from across the border doing work nobody wants to do, and you're barely paying them because you don't want to pay them. Where's the welcoming act? Say thank you.
Well, I succumb to slam your friend or pig with a gun. Oh, who's to blame? Who's to blame? Can say it's fate or God and me, it's all the same. What kind of strings I'm gonna pick myself up with today? What kind of strings I'm gonna pick myself up with today? What kind of strings I'm gonna pick myself up with? I don't know.
I was at the city team shelter when that guy was shot by the cops. And I could see in his eye the pain. You know, that yeah, he'd effed up, but he was scared. You know, the guy needed help. He didn't need to die. They could have tased him at any point, but they chose not to. The cops, they just shot him with all of us in there, just 5 bullets, just boom, 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 boom. And I can't stop thinking about it because that was me a few months ago. I was having thoughts about doing something stupid and having the cops shoot me. Yeah. But I realize that's not the answer. It's just when I'm sad and on the bridge and stuff. It's not that I'm going through anything. It's just that I get sick and tired of not having someone to talk to. I mean, I'm the one who made myself hard to be with, so. Now, after the shooting, I walked into Street Roots, and they asked me how I was doing. They went the extra mile to make sure that I was okay, and that made me feel really, really good because when I was a kid, my family kicked me out. I was 10 years old. I ended up on the street, and that has basically lasted my whole life. So Street Roots is my family now, and it means a lot to have that. It means a lot. You know, sometimes I imagine myself being outside with like this like big drum set, just like going for it. And then secretly behind me, like all these people put their drum sets up. And then before I know it, there's just like hundreds and hundreds of people just doing the same beat at the same time. And it's just like, oh, I'm here, I'm getting into it, nothing's bothering me. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. No, because the way I see it, the world has a beat, a flow. And for drummers, it's a really special thing. So to be able to let it grow and manifest into something like that, I mean, it would just be like, it'd be like making it.
No, we're holding out longer than we should. Thinking, praying, waiting for something good. No, we can't wait for the sun only to come around and tell us life's already gone and on. No, this bird's yet flown only one breath, 1 mile from moment on. This year to come, this road we're on, it's only just begun. No change, it comes on fast, and I still hurt, I still want it fast. But if we stay here now, moving on, we're bound to be stuck singing this same old song.
We are in the beginning of a renaissance. You look around and it looks horrific. It looks like the dark ages out there, but there is a renaissance going on. Things are happening, things are changing. Now, I'm an artist, a painter. I just love art. I had my own little renaissance when I was younger, and art just kind of like poured out of me. But one day, I don't know, I couldn't do it anymore. So it feels important to me that people support artists. Because people need to be aware that Beethoven died in the gutter, okay? I mean, how many wonderful, brilliant people gave their life to the gift that was in them, and society enjoyed it immensely, but these people starved. I mean, they starved. I mean, that is a good way to look at the homeless, It's like these people have gifts, So don't look at homeless people as though we're misfits, because, it might be God on that street eating out of a trash can, or a doctor or a lawyer. I mean, you don't know what goes on with people. I mean, sure, yes, there is a lot of riffraff too. Whatever. It's all in this big mix, but don't come as you're this person who's blessed and these other people aren't. Because that is not who God is. It's like, oh, I'm bad because I'm homeless. It's like, I want to say maybe God put me here. Maybe God put me here for a reason. We're a society. If one is hurting, we need to help that hurt and bring it up. Now, I've basically been homeless my whole life. I never had any roots. My mom would just come and snatch me up in the middle of the night, take me to God knows where. So I never had a place. There's this dream I have where I'm on one shore and everyone else is on the other side, and I'm waving goodbye, and I don't want to wave goodbye. I just want I feel really displaced. I used to always say that I felt like a duck out of water. And when I moved to Oregon, I didn't realize this place is actually really big on ducks. So I finally found my place. You are awesome. You are awesome. Y'all see that guy on YouTube? I just love that, because that's all I want, is to see y'all happy, smiling, and maybe just for me to have a little peace and quiet. You give me a little peace and I'll be quiet. Till then, you better watch out. Now, I got me a little bit of a Napoleon complex. I'm a little man that's got a big mouth, and I got into my share of trouble all because I thought I had to have money. Right? Yeah, but money takes away your humanity. Now, I finally realized I don't need a lot. As long as I got my friends, my family, I'm all right. But I had to learn that the hard way. I was in prison 22 years, 9 months, and 3 weeks. My first 5 years in prison, I was waiting for them to go. It's your time to die. So from that to this, well, all right. Now, and I was in now this one librarian I knew in prison, he used to always say to me, he'd say, you ain't a bad man, you're just a man that made bad decisions. Right? Oh, he introduced me to Shakespeare. When I discovered King Lear, I thought, I can relate, because King Lear was actually homeless, see. But then I realized, no, I relate more to the fool, because like the fool, I'm the clown in town, right? No, but what the fool does is the fool shows his scars so others can heal. Yeah, and that's what I try to do, whether it's through, laughter, poetry, theater, because sometimes you need a fool like me in the mix for everyone to maybe heal, to find the connection, right? Because one thing we all got in common is we all human. Now, some may be smarter than others, but we all human one way or another. Books are my escape. When I read a good book, I learn there are other ways to be, other ways to live. And for me, growing up in a family where the adults, you cannot trust them, they undermine you, okay. There are many ways you can cope with that. My way has always been books. So I read all of Dickens by the age of 14. I read science, popular mechanics, just everything. Right now I'm even reading Tupac. Those are very, very, very good words. I mean, his stuff should be celebrated as poetry, really. Yeah, so I attended Penn State, English major. I had this fantasy since I was a kid about going to the academy and everything would be wonderful and everybody would be nice, and of course it was all bullshit, but I didn't know it yet, so I ended up being a terrible student because I had no respect for authority, so I had problems with professors. Now, I had this one history professor, and I loved history. I mean, absolutely loved history, but the book for that course was so incredibly boring. The bibliography, however, was fascinating. So I didn't read the textbook, but I read every single book in the bibliography. I learned all kinds of really good shit, but not for that course, okay? So when it came time to take the test, I answered the questions, and then for my own amusement, I decided to list every single English monarch from the time of King Canute up to Elizabeth. Just, I know this, look what I know. I was so excited, but the man marked me down because he said I gave him too much information. Too much information. I was so pissed. I did not expect this. To end up 76 years old and homeless. Now, there is a tendency to think if you are elderly, if you are older, your brain is dead, you are fried, you have no use whatsoever. I will be dead soon enough, so it really doesn't matter, but I do wish they would treat people as people. I think it is inhumane that any person is houseless no matter their age. You want to sweep us away? Fine. Where are we going to go? I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe. There's no sickness, toil, or danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to meet my mother. I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. When I first come out to Portland, I'm really sick at the time, homeless, living in my Jeep. I'm doing house painting work, and I don't want any of the guys on the crew to know that I'm homeless, so I try my best to be quiet and just work, but I eventually get myself laid off because I'm just too sick, and I have a problem with speed. And I have all these other health problems too, and I can never seem to get better even when I'm clean. So when I land in my last apartment, well, I have plans. I was clean and sober at that time, but my neighbor kept offering me speed, and I didn't take him up on it initially, but when you're in excruciating bone pain and fatigue, it is hard to resist. So yeah, I start doing speed again, and then that's just a bad road. So confessing to a 21-year downward spiral isn't pretty, and I don't know, I miss my dogs. I had to give them up. But I am thankful. I still got this one here. This is Tessa. Yeah, she's, I've had her since she was a babe. She is 14 years old. She is just an awesome dog, a much better dog than I deserve. So I gotta pull myself together for her sake. So if I can just shift my focus forward, we'll get through the week, and it's a day at a time. So I'm stubborn.
If it was somewhere warm, somewhere warm, to lay my head, to make my bed. Just somewhere clean, somewhere clean for me to dream. A place so blessed to be my own. Like a curl-up tide, feel at home. Just someone kind to ease my mind, to press my eyes just for some time. sometime. Oh, sometime. Can't be no way, can't be no other way. Wake up each morning, greet the day.
When I met my hero, Chuck Norris, he told me, don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. And to this day, I live by that philosophy. If you come to a door and you can't go around it, can't go under it, can't go through it, you kick that damn door wide open and you walk right in. I trained in Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo. I eventually went on to become a professional wrestler. My biggest claim to fame is that I got to fight John Cena before he went pro, when he was still known as Prototype. I used to use this maneuver known as an STO. Basically, you grab the wrist, you pull your opponent towards you, you come around the neck into a clothesline, you bring your leg behind theirs, and you slam them to the mat. I miss it. I really do. I still use a lot of that martial arts philosophy, the grounding techniques. It developed in me this belief that there is honor in everything, that no matter what, even on your worst day, there is nowhere to go but up, and I keep that belief no matter what. I grew up in a very strict Mormon household. I never was a big believer in the Mormon church, for one thing. It is just so egotistically male. I couldn't get behind that. The church even passed a ruling that said, if a child is found to be LGBT, they are not allowed to come into the church until the family disowns what they are. I'm like, no. So the day I came out as trans, my dad told me flat out, well, that is just because Satan is in your eyes. He disowned me right then. My whole life, I had to hide who I was, and it was exhausting. So one day I realized I couldn't keep fighting the Mormon culture. I couldn't keep hiding who I was. So I headed to Portland because I had heard that this was kind of a mecca for the trans community, and I was not disappointed. Immediately, I was welcomed here. I mean, immediately, I was known as me. I was finally able to be the woman that I knew was sitting inside, and it was such a relief. It was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. My mom is the only one in my family who had any idea about me. She died before I came out, but before she died, she told me, and I want people to hear this. She said, I know about you. I know who you are, and you need to be yourself. Stop hiding and be true. Stop hiding and be true. You know why I go to Street Roots? Because it gives me a reason to get up every morning. It gives me purpose. You know, I have times when I feel so alone, and I can't believe I'm admitting that. But Street Roots, you know, they don't treat me like a bum or being homeless. I mean, they treat me like a human being. Now, I actually grew up in a good home. I had good parents. So, you know, I don't know why I grew up struggling with drugs. And it's actually kind of messed up because when I was 17, I burnt my parents' house down smoking pot, okay? It was an accident, but it really got bad when I got an assault and robbery charge and I went to prison. And yeah, like, you know, I tried to turn a negative into a positive, you know, like when I was in prison. I was doing these parenting classes and I carried around this teddy bear because, like, you know, I'm fighting to get my daughter back, and, like, you know, I get my GED because I'm trying to make something of myself, but people still look at me like I'm a piece of shit because I've been to prison. You know, it doesn't matter that I served my time, I bettered myself, they won't rent to me. I mean, they automatically think I'm a liability, and yeah, I do got kind of a quick temper, but I've been getting really better on that. Like, I was sleeping in a doorway recently, and it was cold and raining, and, like, I would tell myself this just running through my mind. I would just be like, I am a savage. I'm a beast. I can do this. I'm just trying to like pump myself up. Like it is 26 degrees out and I'm freezing and I'm just like, God, I hope I don't die out here, man. Seriously.
What kind of strings am I picking myself up with today? What kind of strings?
I'm originally from Texas, and I've been homeless out here for about a year. I was working, I had a good job, and then I started doing drugs, and then I started getting real paranoid, and then I tried to kill myself a couple of times. I started going in and out of the hospital because of the drugs and the suicidal ideations. And, I don't think the mental health system works at all, because the last time I was in the hospital, they kicked me out even though I was suicidal. I mean, when you don't have no money, and you got to beg for everything you get, I mean, it's hard to humble yourself like that. I mean, sometimes the only thing that keeps me going is a pack of cigarettes and some weed. I mean, marijuana makes me feel better, so I've been smoking a lot of weed. I mean, you got to have something to fight for, something to keep trying for, even if it's just finding some weed.
What kind of strings am I picking myself up with today?
I chose the wrong person. I mean, that's basically it. My last husband put it in my head that nobody would love me but him, but at the same time, he's hitting me. So one day, I went out for a pack of cigarettes, and I ain't come back yet. I had to get away some kind of way. It's hard to go through being beat up on and everything else because you don't want anyone to know. I've been homeless 3 different times now, all domestic violence situations. Seems like I always pick the wrong man, usually an alcoholic, and I didn't realize, because I was a bartender at the time, so I didn't realize what was really going on until it was too late. Thankfully, that's behind me. But it's still hard. Being homeless changes you. It takes your dignity away. When you're told when to go to sleep, when you've got to stand in line to eat, to check your mail, simple things like that get to you, you are never the same after. My children never knew when I was homeless. Yeah, I wouldn't let them know, because Mama was always strong. Again, it was about my dignity. How am I going to let them pick me up at a shelter looking all dingy? I couldn't live with them seeing me like that. So yeah, I would call them up on the phone and everything, and I'd just pretend like everything was all right. That is hard to do. Don't ever get homeless. Please don't. Your ego just completely, it's something else.
Oh, it's not as bad as it seems. Oh, you get used to constant horrible things. Ooh. I've been seeing things since I was 15, not high, for the first time, and wanted to dream of a life beyond what was supposed out for me. And I will wear mittens and play in the yard, and I will drink sodas and drive in a car, and I'll live beyond the stupid sentence of my scars. I'll get by in this god-awful time.
Opiate use has been my downfall. I was started on morphine and stuff from the time I was a baby, and by the age of 12 I was using intravenous drugs, and by 13 I was just smoking coke with my dad. I forgive him, but I can't believe my dad would do that to a kid, But my dad eventually, he actually went into this men's recovery program and he got sober, and I went into the same program and it got me clean too. So when we got sober together, we kind of got that bond again, we got really close. So when he relapsed and OD'd, it just devastated me. I lost my dad. I didn't know how to deal. I started drinking again. I did a lot of meth. But I eventually got clean again. I actually got into some housing this year. And I'm grateful. Like, there's a lot of people on the street right now, and I'm not. And, like, I got a place to go, like, every night. Like, I'm super grateful because I can't describe, like, the depression. Like, it is hard to get up in the morning, like, a lot of the time, but, you know, sleeping in a doorway sucked. Like, it sucked. Like, I can't. You know, recently I had a dream that my dad visited me. And in my dream, he was smiling at me, and he just was radiating light. And he said, "Son, when you see God, you're going to dance." And he knelt down. He was wearing this cowboy hat, and he just started singing this country gospel song like it totally fit him. And, like, I think it was, like, God's way of showing me, like, he's okay. Like, everything's going to be fine. He was a friend of mine. He was a friend of mine. Every time I hear his name, sure feel like crying. He was a friend of mine. He died on the road. He died on the road. He never had enough money to pay his room and board. He was a friend of mine. He never done no wrong. He never done no wrong. 1,000 miles from home, he never harmed no one. He was a friend of mine. My body always felt like this enemy. I couldn't escape it. I always thought it was just some weird part of myself or my PTSD or whatever. But one day, I'm sitting on my bed, I'm staring down at my gun, and I think, okay, this is it. You know, I'm either going to figure this thing out or I'm going to end it. So I read everything I could about what it meant to be transgender, and that was it. A light went off. I mean, I gave up everything to come out here. This is my first time being homeless, and I came into it willingly so I could have a chance at a new life. Now, I served 3 combat tours in Iraq as a medic, okay? So when the pandemic hit, I went into combat mode. I started doing outreach work to the other homeless camps. Street Roots heard about it, approached me and said, "Hey, this outreach work you're doing, can we expand it?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I have been working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week since, just getting supplies out to people, getting the information out. When everyone was sheltering in place, all these people on the street stepped up to help. I mean, they aren't doing it for monetary reasons. You know, for a great many of them, this is the first opportunity they've had in a long time to feel a part of this community, to show that they are more than somebody waiting for a handout. My biggest hope on the backside of this is that you all see the work we've been doing and you respond to it with the same kindness. I don't understand personally why our society can't grasp that this is not an accident. You know, poverty is not the result of feast or famine like you see in the natural world. It's the result of an economic system. Now, I don't see why our government doesn't say, look, you know, this is a human rights disaster. You know, we have the manpower, we have the technology. I don't see why we don't sweep in there with the resources and get people the help they need. You know, because a lot of people, if they just had a decent place to stay and a little encouragement, they would pop right up. You see so much damage out here. some people just crumble. You know, you have to think in terms of compassion and ask yourself, am I the type of person that allows bad things to happen by standing back and not doing anything to help? You know, everybody every single day makes a choice about love, compassion, and understanding. So we have to look at ourselves and ask, what am I doing to help this? How can I become part of the solution? I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he's watching over me. You know what my nickname is, don't you? Barbie Bible in the Happy Band. I tell you, I've been more on fire for Jesus now than ever, and I used to get jealous when people were so on fire for Jesus, because I would think, but I am going to hell, I am such a sinner. But now I understand what being on fire for Jesus means. It is pure joy. It is like looking up at the stars on a clear night. It just fills you up, you know? Now, there are times that I do ask God, why did you put me here? But I think I had to see it from this perspective to articulate it. I think you need a few people like me who can stand up here and say, help us help them. You know, I mean, we can be a community. We know how to take care of each other. You know, I mean, that is what frustrates me the most is you hear the H word. And automatically, it's like I get points taken away, when in reality, I think you should be giving me a lot of points. So yeah, I think God put me here to speak out and to help my street family. If not me, then who?
In the quiet, misty morning, when the moon has gone to bed, when the sparrows stop their singing, and the sky is clear and red, then the wind will set me racing as my journey nears its end, and the path I'll be retracing when I'm homeward bound again. Bind me not to the pasture, chain me not to the plow, set me free to find my calling, and I'll return to you somehow.
Quiet, misty morning, when the moon has gone to bed, when the sparrows stop their singing,
I'll be home.
I'll be homeward bound again. If not me, then who? Samie, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to our show. We have 2 more shows. We have another one tomorrow night at 7:30 and then Sunday at 2 p.m. Please, tomorrow after our show, we have a talk back with Street Roots, who these stories are all from. So please, you can join, get a ticket for tomorrow night. You can do $0 if you want and just join in the talk back. We'd love to have you. Thank you all for joining us. Please check out Samie on Bandcamp if you want to check out some of her music. I'm a little excited. Thank you so much.